Right. Now let us start this class without further ado. Yesterday we started with the first part of this poem, Wind, written by Subramania Bharati. This is a remarkable poem. Why is it a remarkable poem? Because the poet has used his power of observation. What did the poet observe? The poet had observed the effects of the wind in general and of the stormy weather. He has seen how wind tends to destroy things in its path. And he tells his readers that the things that get destroyed in the path are the ones that are weak, that cannot physically stand the onslaught of wind. So such weak things and objects get destroyed. So who remains intact? Only the strong and the powerful, right? I've also already told you that wind is also a metaphor here for problems and hardships that we face in our lives. The wind blows strongly and causes a lot of destruction. The wind, I've told you, is a nature's phenomena. Wind is not going to change its attitude. Wind will blow as it is. No amount of request, no amount of pleading, no amount of beseeching is going to have any effect on the wind. It will blow with the same intensity and will complete the purpose for which it has come. If you request to a wind to blow gently, it will not turn into a breeze. As we see in the opening stanza, where the poet seems to be pleading or requesting the wind and asking it to not blow so strongly. Because if it blows strongly, then it will break down the shutters of the windows. And these shutters separate the man from the stormy environment outside. So the poet is asking the wind for protection. Will wind listen to him? No. What are poet's fears? What is he asking the wind not to do? The poet is asking the wind not to scatter the papers in his room or to throw down the books from his bookshelves with its force and might. But will the wind listen to him? Not at all. So wind enters, it breaks the shutters of the windows, it scatters the papers and throws down the books on the shelf. It has done exactly everything that the poet had requested the wind not to do. We see that in the second stanza, the poet, as if he's complaining to the wind. He is accusing the wind of causing destruction. The poet had requested the wind not to cause any destruction, but the wind did not listen to the poet. It simply went ahead and did its work. So let's understand the second stanza. The poet, as if in a complaining tone, accuses the wind of blowing too strongly and creating the mess in his room, with the books thrown down from the shelves and their pages torn. He then looks outside and tells the wind that you have not come alone. I mean, as if the problems that you brought with you were not sufficient, you're accompanied by rain. And that will complicate the problems. So this is something that he accuses wind of, that you have not come alone. You have come with rain, and now you're destroying everything. So first, the poet is requesting, and now he's accusing the wind. But will wind listen? Will there be any effect on wind? The answer is a straightforward no. Let us look at the third stanza and understand it clearly. Right, this one. Okay. Rather, not from here, rather from here to here. You are very clever at poking fun at weaklings. Frail, crumbling houses, crumbling doors, crumbling rafters, crumbling wood, crumbling bodies, crumbling lives, crumbling hearts. The wind god winnows and crushes them all. Now, this is a very important stanza of this poem, right? So let us see what happens in this stanza. Before I help you understand this stanza, let us look at some words here. Words like poking. What is the meaning of poking at? Meaning, or should I say poking fun at? Meaning that you make fun of someone or making fun of someone. That is poking fun at. What is the meaning of weaklings? I guess you will understand what weaklings are, or rather who weaklings are. The weak bodies or persons are called weaklings. Okay. What is the meaning of the word frail? The word frail, as you can see here, it means weak. So I can say that frail is a synonym of weak. What is the meaning of crumbling? Crumbling means destroying or breaking. What do rafters mean? Rafters means sloping beams supporting the roof. So you see those sloping beams that support a roof? Those are rafters. I hope wind god, you know who a wind god is, right? It is symbolic of all kind of wind, be it hurricane, be it anything, right? That it is what is symbolic of. And then what is the meaning of winnows? Now this, okay? Winnows is when you separate seed from the chaff. Now hold on to it. I'll show you a picture. Now you see these ladies doing something here, right? This process is known as winnow, right? So what is winnow, right? Let's read the meaning here, right? It's given. Winnow means blow grain free of chaff, separate grain from husk by blowing on it. Now this is a common practice during harvest season. So when the crops are harvested, especially something like wheat, so the ladies, they separate the seed from the chaff. Now the chaff is the dried covering of the seed. And wind blows across, okay, and it separates the seed from the chaff. So the chaff is weak and the wind blows. When the wind blows, it removes the chaff from the seed. And because seed is stronger than chaff, seed survives and chaff is removed. Now, this is exactly what a wind does. A wind separates weak from strong. That is the meaning. Okay? Now, I'll help you with the understanding of this stanza. Right? From here, okay, to here. Right? So now the poet speaks in a subdued tone. What is the meaning of a subdued tone? Subdued means as if he has been forced to mellow down. See, in the beginning, the poet was requesting, then he was accusing. And when the poet was accusing, he was irritated. What kind of emotion was going through in the mind of the poet? Irritation. And he was irritated that in spite of requesting the wind, it destroyed everything. Is that clear? Right? So the poet now in a subdued tone. Subdued is as if he has surrendered. So subdued means in a surrendered tone, as if I've surrendered, I've given up to the wind, saying that it makes mischief whenever it encounters or comes across anyone who is very humble and very mild to protest against its actions. What is the meaning of this? Let me explain it to you, or should I say, let me rephrase it for you. All right. So now the tone of the poet changes. Is he irritated? No, he's not irritated anymore. In fact, the poet is subdued. What is the meaning of subdued? That he had surrendered. He has given up. So in a given up tone, why? Because now he cannot prevail over the wind. So he tells the wind that it makes mischief. It pokes fun. Deliberately, it makes fun of people. And who are these people? These people are those who are meek. Meek means humble. And they are too mild to protest. They will not protest against the wind. And wind makes fun of these weaklings. Right? These weaklings will never speak up against the actions of the wind. So what does the wind do? It tears down doors, rafters, and even entire wooden houses completely, leaving people exposed and without shelter from the harsh world outside. So this is what the wind does. It destroys everything that is weak, be it rafters, be it doors, be it houses, be it people, be it wood, be it anyone. Anyone who is weak, anyone who is humble, anyone who is frail will be destroyed by wind. It will not spare the weaklings. It will make fun of them. And this is how the wind will expose them to harsh realities of the world. So see, the world outside is not as beautiful as it is painted to us. The world outside is full of pitfalls. The world outside is full of challenges, hardships, obstacles. It is not very easy to live in the world outside. And I'm certain you will agree to it. Now, this is an idiom, right? This expression, the wind god winnows and crushes them all. Now, who are them? These them are the weaklings, the weak people, the weak things, the weak objects, right? So what does the wind god do? He winnows. What is the meaning of winnows? He separates the weak from the strong. And then what does he do after separating the weak from the strong? He crushes the weak. So first, the wind god separates the weak from the strong, and then he crushes the weak. So this is an idiom that the poet implies or he uses. He says that the troubles that we face in life come as suddenly as the wind, right? Wind comes suddenly. We see sudden change in the weather and the wind comes. So the troubles and the hardships in our life, they do not come informing beforehand that, okay, we'll be visiting you after 3 days. All the troubles in our life happen suddenly and immediately. Okay, so the wind also comes. This is a phenomenon of nature, and wind also comes rather suddenly, and also leaves suddenly. So you see, the wind starts blowing suddenly, and then it leaves suddenly. So the difficult times in our life, they arrive suddenly, they stay for some time, and then they leave as suddenly as they have arrived. So the poet says, the wind can tear down weak bodies and fragile hearts, the frail hearts. That is, difficulties in life can lead to a loss of hope as well as loss of life. Thus, it is all up to the wind god, says the poet. So this is what the wind does. It separates the weak from the strong in the same way winnowing separates chaff from the seed. And then what does the wind do to these weak people? It ultimately destroys them. Why? Because they are too weak to face the, should I say, the strength of wind. Okay, moving on to the next paragraph. Please give me a moment. Okay, now we are going to look at this stanza. Okay. Right. So come, let's build strong homes. Let's join the doors firmly. Practice to firm the body. Make the heart steadfast. So what is the meaning of making firm? Firm means to make strong. And what is steadfast? Steadfast is an expression for firmness and determination. So what does the poet say? The poet says that the wind is not going to have any change in its attitude. No amount of requesting, accusing, begging, pleading will change the attitude of wind. It will continue to separate weak from the strong and then later destroy the weak. So the poet now speaks to the readers, saying that the wind does not listen to anybody and its actions are governed by it alone. So wind does not pay attention or does not pay heed to anyone. It will do what it is supposed to do. So to escape the fury of wind, to escape its harmful effects, to escape the wrath of the wind, we should build our homes on strong foundation and ensure that their doors cannot be easily penetrated. Okay? So we should go ahead and make strong homes. We should shut and joint the doors rather firmly, right? So that wind cannot easily penetrate them or get through them. Also, we must train our bodies and our hearts to fight and resist the ill effects of the wind. If we are able to do this, then we will no longer consider the wind as enemy. Instead, the wind will invite us to become its friend. Now, this is again an idiom where the meaning is that if we make our character strong, we'll be able to combat any troubles easily. However, if our character is weak, the troubles will create problems for us. Remember what I've told you yesterday, if you have penned it down, that tough times don't last, tough men do. So, what is wind symbolic of? Wind symbolizes the tough times, the challenging times. And how do weak people respond to these challenging times? By running away, by crying, by blaming, right? By accusing others. And that's the reason the weak do not have any value. So, what does the poet say to the readers? The poet tells the readers that, look, wind is not going to change its attitude, it will remain the way it is. So, who has to change the attitude? It's us. The onus or the responsibility is on us to change our character from weak to strong. Because if we'll have strong houses instead of weak, if we'll have strong windows instead of weak, if we'll practice to strengthen our body and make it strong, if we'll make our heart strong and steadfast, then wind will not be able to harm us. Difficult times will not be able to mock or make fun of us. Instead, we'll have the courage and confidence to fight these uncertain times. And remember, these difficult times, they come quickly and they leave as quickly as they have come. So if you're not troubled, if you are not frightened during our difficult times, then these difficult times too shall pass. Right? So these difficult times, in fact, test us. These difficult times make our character. These difficult times and challenges give us the opportunity to repair our character, to repair it from weak and make it strong. And this is how we'll be able to brave and weather the harsh conditions in the world. Right? I hope you have understood this thing well. So who has to bring around the change? It's the people, not nature. So we have to change our attitude. Nature is not going to change its attitude, right? Moving on to the final stanza here. Okay, this is the final stanza. Do this, and the wind will be friends with us. The wind blows out weak fires. He makes strong fires roar and flourish. His friendship is good. We praise him every day. So here the poet describes how the wind has both bad effects and good effects. The bad effect is that it can blow out a weak fire. However, if the fire is burning strongly, then the wind will make it burn fiercer, thus nurturing what is already strong. The poet comes to the conclusion that if we are strong, then the wind is a good friend for us to have, as it will increase our strength. This is an idiom meaning that all troubles that we face in life will strengthen us further if our characters are strong. However, we'll be seriously affected by troubles if our characters are weak. He also says that we should sing our devotion to the wind god on daily basis, meaning that we should happily face any troubles in our lives. So how does the poet conclude the poem? The poet says, or rather describes, two things, okay? First thing the poet describes is the good effect of the wind, and the second is the bad effect. So what is the bad effect of the wind? You see, when the wind is blowing, children, I'll give you an example, okay? Imagine when the wind is blowing and you try to strike and light a match. You know what? You have a matchstick and you try to light it. What happens? It blows off. You cannot light a match against a wind. Why? Because that fire is a weak fire. But imagine, just imagine you have a bonfire. You know what a bonfire is? Where you put a lot of woods and then there is fire. And when picks up, you see that fire does not get extinguished. In fact, that fire blows more strongly, or rather, it blows strong. It grows more stronger. It gets stronger rather. So what does the wind do to the weak? It destroys. And what does it do to the strong people? The wind makes them even stronger, right? So that is the same thing with us. In our lives, these hardships, these difficult times are just like wind in our life. So if we are weak charactered people, we'll be destroyed by the circumstances. We'll be destroyed by the tough times and the challenges of life. But if we are strong-minded people, if our character is strong, then we'll be able to face these difficult circumstances, these difficult times with courage and determination, and we will emerge even stronger. We will emerge even stronger, right? Because we'll gain experience to face such challenges in life. I hope this is clear to you. Right? So we should not run away from our challenges. Rather, we should be thankful to our challenges. We should be grateful to our challenges. We should say, thank you for coming in our lives because you have made my character from weak to strong or strong to stronger. Because tough times don't last, tough people do. So this is the story, this is the poem Wind. And we see that there are a lot of idioms that are used in this poem. All right. Now, children, please get hold of your pen and pencils and paper because I'll help you with the poetic devices. Okay. If you're all ready, I'll help you with the poetic devices. Okay. Right. So let's look in the first paragraph. You see the word don't, don't, don't. So this word is repeated. No, it is not repetition here. Because this word don't is repeated in 3 back-to-back lines, and it is at the beginning of a line. So see, don't break, don't scatter, don't throw. So the word don't is repeated at the beginning of a line, right? So this is not repetition. This poetic device is called anaphora. 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 I'll repeat. Anaphora is a poetic device in which a word is repeated in more than one line at the beginning of a line. Right? So see, don't, it is repeated. So it's not repetition here because it is at the beginning of lines. So it becomes anaphora. I think you will be easily able to find alliteration. Let us see, where do we find alliteration? Okay, right. Fire, flourish. The F sound, F sound. This is your alliteration. Please mark it or write it. Okay. Right. Then the next, the whole poem is a metaphor. I guess you know what a metaphor is now. So this whole poem is a metaphor. The whole poem is a metaphor as it ends on the note to humanity to stand against all ravages of natural or man-made. So we have to stand against. So what is the message? I mean, through this poem, Wind, the poet is trying to send a message that the wind is symbolic of the challenges, the tough times, the hardships in our life, and that we must face the hardships, be it natural or be it man-made hardship. Now, what could be a natural hardship? Wind, hailstorm, all these things are earthquakes, natural calamities, right or not? And man-made calamities, COVID-19 virus, war, terrorist attacks. What are these? These are man-made problems, right? Now, next is personification. Now, here, right, we see personification. Let me see, let us tell you, let us see where we see personification. Let me see, okay? Okay, right. He won't do what you tell him, right? Who will only do things that you tell to do? It's human beings, right? If I tell you to write something, you're going to write it, okay? So here, this line is what? This line is personification. Why? Because the word he is used. And who is he here? Wind. So wind is used, a human expression. So this is personification, right? And then let us see again. He again is used here, right? He makes strong fires roar and flourish. So again, this is personification, okay? Right, let us see if there is anywhere else that we have used. Uh, okay. Right, look, again, here he is used. He won't do what you tell him. So again, this is personification. So wherever you find he, it is personification. And then, of course, there is repetition of the word crumbling. So this poetic device is repetition, right? So I've already explained to you this poem. I hope you're also clear with your poetic devices. I've told you that this poetic device is anaphora. Then we had a metaphor. The entire poem is a metaphor because wind is a metaphor for troubles and problems, okay? Both natural and man-made, right? The next is personification. So you see he and all those, this is personification. I've already told you repetition. So the word crumbling is repetition, okay? So what are the value points that we learn in this poem? The first value point is that we should be strong in mind and body, all right? We should be strong in mind and body. We should be physically and mentally fit. Next, the wind indicates the difficulties and challenges that we face in our life. So what does wind represent? The difficulties and challenges that we face in our life. Next, we should face our problems boldly and stay firm in difficult situations. So what should be our reaction when we see a problem approaching or coming, or when we are in trouble? Should we panic? Should we run away? Should we beg and plead with the problem to vanish and go away? Or should we be strong and brave enough to face these problems, these adversities of our life? The right answer is the latter part. We should have the strength and the courage to face the troubled situations. Okay, moving on. Finally, unless we fight with our hardships, we cannot expect success. So there is no shortcut to success, all right? You have to continuously fight to overcome all the odds and emerge victorious. This is the sum and substance of this poem.